You turn the volume up to hear the dialogue, and the explosion blows you off the couch. You turn it back down for the quiet scene, and you cannot hear what anyone is saying. Your television is lying to you. Tiny drivers crammed behind a screen engineered to be thin, because thinness is cheaper to ship. Tower speakers fix this: real drivers, real cabinets, room to move air. And Bluetooth is now built into nearly every product in this category, from honest engineering through to pure fiction. The question this video answers is not how big the number on the box is, but whether the number is real. Before we rank anything, audio gear stays in a room for a decade. Televisions get replaced on a 4-year cycle. Phones every 2 years. But the speakers next to your television stand, those are infrastructure. Pulling them out means moving furniture, possibly repatching cables, and buying twice. The cost of getting this wrong is not the sticker price. It is the sticker price plus 10 years of nightly irritation. No brand paid for placement here. We are ranking 8 Bluetooth tower speakers from worst to best. And I will name the exact one I would put in my own living room. Number 8. The Go Groove BlueSync STW. Around $150 at Walmart. The box says 120 watts. The specs table on the same product page, in the same listing, says 60 watts RMS continuous. RMS stands for root mean square. And it is the only power number that describes what the amplifier is actually doing when music is playing. Peak power is what the amplifier can briefly survive at maximum stress before the sound collapses into distortion. It is a stress test figure, not a listening figure. The difference between 60 real watts and 120 marketing watts is not a rounding error. It is a different amplifier entirely. In a dorm room or small apartment kitchen, the Go Groove will make sound. The built-in subwoofer at this price is similar to what you feel when someone knocks on a hollow door impact without depth. The two 15-watt drivers run out of headroom before a real-sized living room is filled. In year 2, owners consistently report Bluetooth pairing becoming unreliable as the internal components wear without the thermal tolerance of a more serious build. Buy it if you need music in a studio apartment and your expectations are calibrated. Skip it if you are trying to replace your television speakers for a living room, or if you plan to keep it past year 3. It is priced like a speaker and powered like a clock radio. If you have ever been burned by a big wattage number that turned into a big disappointment, give this video a like. It helps the next person find the real answer before they check out, not after. I read every single comment. Number 7. The Samsung MX ST5 OB Sound Tower. Around $700. Genuinely impressive engineering. Wrong product for a fixed home installation. Samsung built this as a portable party speaker. Built-in battery, 18 hours of life, IPX5 splash resistance, party lights, karaoke, DJ effects, Bluetooth, and the ability to link wirelessly with other Samsung sound towers. Firmware updates are still shipping as of early 2026. The product is not abandoned. The problem is design intent. A battery runs all of its audio circuitry through a power management system rather than clean wall power. Think of it as the difference between a water tank and a direct pipe to the reservoir. A tank delivers inconsistent pressure as it depletes. A pipe delivers what you need when you need it. Serious home audio products are always mains powered for exactly this reason. 240 watts is rated for one tall column in mono, not 2 physically separated stereo speakers. True left-right separation, the thing that places a voice on screen or a violin to the left of a cello, requires 2 separate cabinets. A sound tower on the floor to your right gives you sound. It does not give you a soundstage. For a patio or a garage party, genuinely excellent. As a replacement for television audio in a fixed living room, the wrong tool. Buy it for portability and volume. Skip it for home theater or stereo music. Quick gut check before we keep going. Ask yourself, do I want to move this speaker or do I want to forget it exists? If the answer is forget it, every item from here forward is worth your full attention. Number 6. The Polk Audio Monitor XT70. Around $349 per speaker, call it $700 per pair. Polk has listed it as discontinued as of mid-2026, but new stock is still widely available and prices may continue to drop. This is a passive speaker. That word matters. Passive means no amplifier is built inside. It connects to a receiver or amplifier via speaker wire, and that receiver is where the Bluetooth lives. Two separate purchases. Understand that before you search. What the XT70 does right is its bass enclosure. It uses dual 8-inch passive radiators instead of a conventional rear port. A conventional ported speaker is a room with a window left open, some bass escapes loosely, creating that familiar whoosh of air. A passive radiator is a sealed membrane on the cabinet wall that vibrates in sympathy with the bass driver, like a second drumhead amplifying the first. The bass stays controlled. At this price, no comparably ported speaker matches the XT70 on low-end texture. Sensitivity is 87 decibels, which means it needs a capable amplifier to open up. Give it a modest 20-watt receiver, and it will sound polite and slightly compressed. Give it 60 to 80 watts, and it rewards you. Buy it while stock lasts if you already have a solid receiver and want controlled bass at a fair price. Skip it if you want a self-contained system without a separate amplifier. A speaker that rewards a good amplifier and politely hides a bad one. Number 5. The Wharfedale Diamond 12.3. Around $798 per pair. What hi-fi? Awards winner 2025 tested in real rooms, not laboratories. Also a passive speaker needing an external amplifier. What separates it from the XT70 is a three-way design. Most speakers at this price are two-way, tweeter and woofer sharing a single crossover point. A three-way design adds a dedicated mid-range driver, and that driver handles the frequencies where human voices live. It does not share its job with the tweeter above or the woofer below. It does one thing: voices, dialogue, the conversation in the film you have been straining to hear. Reviewers consistently describe the 12.3 as mid-forward. It prioritizes the frequency range where most of your content actually lives. The treble is smooth rather than bright, which means no fatigue over a long film. Bass is honest rather than inflated. Owners report easy placement and a speaker that genuinely rewards being pulled 2 feet from the rear wall. Buy it if dialogue clarity is your primary complaint about your current system, or if your listening is mostly music with vocals and acoustic instruments. Skip it if your room is very large, or if cinematic bass impact is the priority. You will want a subwoofer alongside these, which adds cost. The speaker that treats the human voice as the most important sound in the room. Because it is. Here is the pivot. Everything above this point has a meaningful compromise. The next 3 are where the engineering catches up to the promise. They cost more. They also last longer, measure more honestly, and do not surprise you in year 3. Number 4. The SVS Prime Tower. Around $599 each in black ash, approximately $1,200 per pair. Featured on Crutchfield's Best Stereo Speakers for 2026. Still in production, fully supported. SVS built their reputation on subwoofers. The Prime Tower is what happens when a company that understands bass engineering applies that knowledge to a floor-standing speaker. The driver layout is 3.5-way. 1 tweeter, 1 4.5-inch mid-range, and 2 6.5-inch woofers, but the lower woofer is rolled off early by its own crossover point, contributing only to the deepest bass frequencies while staying entirely out of the mid-range. This prevents the 2 woofers from interfering with each other in the frequency range where they would otherwise cause uneven dispersion, the sound becoming inconsistent depending on where in the room you are sitting. Think of 2 people saying the same sentence with a half-second delay between them. The words blur. SVS gives each woofer a defined job so they never overlap in the wrong place. The result owners consistently report: dialogue is present and forward, not because of processing, but because the crossover design is simply doing its job. Frequency response is confirmed at 30 Hz to 25 kHz within 3 decibels. 8 ohms, 87 decibels sensitivity, handles up to 250 watts. Pairs well with receivers from 60 watts per channel upward. Buy it if you want long-term stereo performance that competes with speakers at double the price, and you are willing to pair it with a solid receiver. Skip it if you want a self-contained system. The speaker built by people who spent decades thinking about what bass should feel like, not what it should look like on the box. Subscribe now, the receiver pairing guide is coming, and it will tell you exactly which amplifiers work with these speakers and how much you actually need to spend. Hit subscribe so you do not miss it. Number 3. The Fluence i81 Elite Powered Floor Standing Tower Speakers. $499 for the pair. That is the most important price inversion in this entire countdown. Every speaker listed above this point is a single speaker price. The i81 Elite is a complete stereo system, built in 150-watt Class D amplifier, Bluetooth 5, optical input, 2 RCA inputs, subwoofer output with an 80 Hz crossover, and a remote control. Class D is the amplifier architecture used in the world's best portable audio efficient, runs cool. And when matched to specific drivers in a specific cabinet, it does not color the sound. Fluence designed the amplifier and the speaker together. The crossover points, the gain, the port tuning, one integrated decision, not two separate products trying to cooperate. In a real living room at a real evening volume family in the house. Neighbors through the wall, the i81 Elite does something no soundbar at this price achieves. Genuine left-right separation. Voices sit in the center of your screen. Effects move to the sides. A soundbar mounted below your television fires sound at the floor or the back wall. The ai81 pair aim directly at you from the left and right of the screen. Physical positioning is doing acoustic work that no amount of processing can fully replicate. The optical input connects directly to most modern televisions with one cable. The subwoofer output means you can add bass later without replacing anything. Bluetooth 5 pairs reliably. Sound and Vision magazine called it ideal for those who want a realistic soundstage without the complexity of a separate receiver. The honest limitation: 2-channel stereo only. No Dolby Atmos decoding, no surround sound. If you need those, you need a receiver and passive speakers. For television audio, music, and film dialogue, this is a complete system. One outlet, one optical cable, nothing else. Buy it if you want a complete Bluetooth tower speaker system that works the first evening, with real stereo separation and no separate amplifier required. Skip it if you need Dolby Atmos surround, or if your room exceeds 300 square feet without a subwoofer. The product this video title was actually promising, at a price that makes the competition embarrassed. Number 2. The Klipsch RP 8000 F2. Around $800 to $1,200 for the pair depending on retailer and current promotions. Check before you buy, because this model moves significantly on deal pricing. Passive speaker. Needs an amplifier. But here is the reason it earns second place. Klipsch's Tractrix horn loading projects high-frequency energy directly at the listening position in a controlled 90-degree by 90-degree pattern, rather than scattering it across the room. The Tractrix geometry shapes the horn exit to minimize turbulence at the transition from horn to room, the same principle that allows aircraft engines to operate cleanly at the nozzle exit. The result is a measured sensitivity of 98 decibels. At 98 decibels, a 40-watt receiver drives these speakers to realistic living room volumes without strain. Most of the passive speakers in this video are 87 decibels, which means you need roughly 8 times the amplifier power to achieve the same output. The Klipsch is doing acoustic work that cheaper and less efficient speakers require expensive amplification to attempt. Dual 8-inch cerametallic woofers handle bass from 35 Hz. Owners consistently note that the speakers are initially bright on first listen. The horn prioritizes directness, and a live room amplifies this. Pulled well into the room and towed in toward the listening position, this character resolves into the precision it was designed for. Do not put them in corners. The 5-year Klipsch warranty on reference Premier passive speakers is genuine and backed by decades of service infrastructure. Buy it if you have a capable receiver, your room is medium to large, and you want the most efficient and dynamic tower speaker in this price range. Skip it if your room has hard floors and reflective walls without soft furnishings, because the brightness will be a problem. A 98 decibel efficiency rating in a world where most speakers post 87 is the audio equivalent of a car that gets twice the mileage while going faster. Post your room size in feet below, whether it is carpeted or hard floors, and tell me what you are considering. I will give you an honest answer. No review can account for your specific room, and your room is the amplifier nobody ever lists in the specs. Number 1. The Polk Audio Reserve R700. Around $769 to $935 per speaker. Pair pricing varies, and this model goes on meaningful sale regularly. I want to be direct about one Polk problem before I tell you why this wins. The Reserve Series center channel companions, the R300 and R400, are two-way designs that reviewers have widely described as overpriced relative to what they deliver. Polk appears to be steering buyers toward its more expensive Legend series for the center channel. If you are building a full surround system around the R700, research the center channel independently. That is the brand charging a badge tax in this video, and the R700 earns first place anyway. Three-way design. 1-inch pinnacle ring radiator tweeter a trickle down from Polk's Legend series, using a ring-shaped diaphragm with internal and exterior waveguides. Where a conventional dome tweeter vibrates uniformly from its center outward, the ring radiator moves like a cymbal struck at its edge, distributing energy more evenly and reducing the distortion that makes tweeters sound harsh at volume. You can listen to the R700 at elevated levels through a long film without the treble fatigue that ends most speakers before the credits. PowerPort 2.0 reduces turbulent noise at the port exit by up to 14 decibels compared to a conventional tube port. When you push a speaker hard, a standard port makes audible noise a low chuffing that layers over the bass note. PowerPort removes most of that. The bass you hear is the note, not the port. Dual 8-inch long throw bass drivers move serious air without pushing the voice coil past its physical limits. Owners consistently describe the bass as effortless. The sound does not get harder or thinner at volume because the drivers are not working near their ceiling. In a real room, on a real evening, bass guitar notes are pitches, not rumbles. Dialogue sits forward and centered. Whispered scenes are audible without raising the volume for the action scene that follows. Sensitivity is 88 decibels and minimum impedance is 3.6 ohms. A capable receiver matters here. Do not pair this with a 30-watt vintage unit. A modern 60-watt per channel receiver from Yamaha, Denon, or Marantz drives it without effort. Buy it if you want the best tower speaker in this video for music and film in a medium to large room and you are keeping it for 10 or more years. Skip it if your total system budget receiver plus speakers is under $2,000, because the receiver pairing is not optional. The speaker that does not negotiate with mediocre content. It finds what is actually good in it and plays that back clearly. 3 things to do this week, free of charge. First, run your receiver's automatic room correction calibration. It takes 15 minutes, and the majority of people who own receivers have never done it. It sets your subwoofer level correctly. Most people run it too high, which drowns the mid-range where voices live. Second, turn off the default surround mode. Modes labeled movie or cinema add artificial reverb that smears the center image and makes dialogue harder to locate. Direct or pure direct sounds cleaner because it is. Third, confirm your television's audio cable is in the EARC port on your receiver, not a standard HDMI port. EARC Enhanced Audio Return Channel sends full resolution audio including Dolby Atmos back through the cable. A standard HDMI port sends compressed audio only. The label is on the back of the receiver. If you are not using it, you are not hearing what your television is sending. The question was never how loud the number on the box is. The question is whether the number is real. Now you know which ones are. Next week, the receiver that should be powering all of these passive speakers, what it has to do to earn its place, and which brands have stopped earning it. Subscribe so you do not miss the one that changes how you look at everything that plugs into it. If this saved you money, like. If you never want to buy the wrong thing again, subscribe. One word below soundbar or receiver. I read every single one.